talking about of Africa and still in light of resilience, meaning Eritrea's resilience, what potential lessons can African nations draw from its experience, and how has this influenced the nation of Eritrea itself? Maybe you have touched this already, but in a broader way, how has this influenced the broader African contexts?
Yeah, no, that's perfect, Biniam, and I think it is that ability to learn from each other probably that will help us in terms of identifying at the national level what are the core issues for development. Like you said, during the war for independence, there was a lot of political education because a politicized population that knows its purpose and its objectives is a population that will help you transcend into the next level and achieve what you have set out to do. And this has been the course. So in that, every Eritrean freedom fighter was educated on the struggle by Frelimo in Mozambique, the struggle by the Tanzanians under the leadership of Nyerere, the struggle of the Algerians, and all these readings of Frank Fanon, like you said, and also Algerians themselves, and then that of Angola, and then that of DRC at the time, Congo, Zaire, and ANC in South Africa. The Zimbabwe one came much later for us, and it started and ended almost very quickly. But these liberation movements, we used to analyze and study. And then from Asia, we borrowed, teachings from the China Revolution, from the Vietnam Revolution, from Laos Revolution, and Koreans also. So there was a very good understanding of where the African movements were at, what they failed in, what they succeeded in, and what it is that we needed to learn. So we also made contacts with these during the liberation period, and had very good relations with Frelimo and the SWAPO in Namibia, and so on. So we had canvassed greatly all these countries that struggled in the same way that we did. So what is the lesson now? Because one of the primary objectives of our struggle was to open equal participation to all Eritreans, to all ethnic groups, to all religious groups, to all genders, to all everybody that existed in that country. Participation for us was a duty that every single Eritrean had to pick up in order to be able to claim their rights. You cannot claim, in our thinking, any right unless you have first done your duty, and this is the thinking we had. And so as we progressed into independence, and then also through the challenges in the post-independence challenges, this whole issue of we still have a duty to do, and it is when we do our duty that we can ask for our rights, still exists. It still runs the whole framework that we have as a nation. And maybe this is where some lessons could be picked by our African brothers and sisters. We have seen independence in many African countries, so-called independence, that probably has not really paid the dividend for the bigger population. In Eritrea, we have a pro-poor centric thinking, and so therefore we believe in development from the periphery towards the capital. And if you go to Eritrea today, in the peripheries, they have 24-hour electricity access, they have water access and everything. But in Asmara, you don't have 24 hours electricity. You don't have water running through the pipe, 24 hours, simply because, and even if you see some pictures of the city, you see some very old buildings and stuff like that have not been painted and made up. No, the idea is the strength of the development of the main cities, rides on the back of the development in the rural area. So today, as we speak, Eritrea has harvested water at a security of up to 5 years per capita. If there is no rain for 5 years, there will be water available on per capita basis. So this is a good achievement and something that also looks at the longer term development strategy that the country may adopt as it goes forward. So other countries need to start to learn to what extent have they trapped their population from becoming part and participate in the economic development of the country and growth of the country. What is it that is holding them back? One big thing is corruption, for example. Corruption is screaming off not what the continent has generated as wealth, but also what it can generate as wealth for the next 30, 40, 50 years. We're in debt beyond any kind of belief. Not even a third, fourth generation from now can finish paying it off. We have that situation. And it shows that the populations are fine-tuned into this, we need help thinking, not that we can do it ourselves thinking. In a country that I spend a lot of my time in Southern Africa, it's one of the richest countries. It has mineral riches, it has human capital, it has all kinds of. This country is under sanctions and it's being played left and right, but nobody can really say how the wealth of this country is being managed to support the development of the country. To begin with, not everybody knows what wealth they have, where the wealth is at this moment. So I think the lesson from Eritrea is, because many have inherited colonial structures as governments, and the colonial structured governments have been governments to exploit, to take, not to give and serve, like in public service and civil service thing. A lot of the structures of the government continue to allow an open door to corruption and drainage of wealth. And second thing is our relations as African states and also our relations with the other world. If a nation economic framework is built on input of finances through debt and other means, then definitely you're not really talking about your own economy. What you need to do is you need to generate your own wealth and try to live within that framework in order to be able to generate more wealth. I mean, unless we see many countries going into that thing, they continuously, perpetually become dependent on external resources that they get but never get to use for whatever they implement, they plan, but lose that resources through various drainage systems that they have developed. So this is one. So integrity is important. If I may also, take the liberty to use Ethiopia as an example. Sitting here and thinking of Ethiopia, you just wonder, what exactly is it that Ethiopia doesn't have to be not only a rich country, but even a strong country? What? People. So many educated Ethiopians. There is a big population, so this country does not even need anybody else's market. And it's a huge market there. So much natural resources, especially so much natural clean water. This country can feed the world. Little Ukraine is feeding the world with wheat, or at least they believe they do. Imagine what Ethiopia can do. And then this continuous cycle of drought. Isn't it an ancient state? Isn't it an ancient state that has lived through droughts, wars, and others? What other lesson does this country need? It all boils down to a completely poor, undeserved leadership that this country successively has been getting. until this point. And this is what is killing this country. Not only is it killing this country, but this country has also become a problem for everybody in the region. So we have a Horn of Africa region that is being constantly put under turmoil. And one of the main drivers of this turmoil in this region is Ethiopia. For what reason is that happening? Which country, tell me, which country around Ethiopia is a threat to Ethiopia? None. So this is what people have to learn. If we need to stand up to anybody else in order to preserve this country, if you need to do things differently in order to make sure that the wealth of the country is inward looking, then there has to be some real shift in terms of thinking. You don't need to go very far for good examples. You don't need to go very far for what it is like to struggle to stand on your own feet, to feed your own self without having to beg from your neighbor all the time or from somebody else all the time. That pride, that sense of achievement. You know, Eritreans are not rich people. We're not rich. We're poor people. We suffer a lot. We went through very, very difficult period, not only during the Liberation War, but even after independence. Some now turn the table around and they say, you see, you have not even been able to achieve anything as Eritreans. Of course, you know, the ones who accuse us of doing that are the very ones who have plotted to make sure that we don't get up, that we have no economy, that we have no strength as a nation, and that we are totally disorganized. So this is what happens. So that resilience is important. The resilience in the mind, especially of the leadership. There is a huge budding young population in Ethiopia that can be transformed into such a productive force. Time is being lost on young people. Opportunities are being lost for people. And this country, I mean, we have these, you know, interesting things that we hear every now and then, especially around the Adwa battle celebration. Yes, there was a great battle. And then you hear this OAU thing. Yeah, you know, we are the beacon of Africa. We do it. But then in the end of the day, none of that trickles down to make that Ethiopian on the street a resilient person. It's a wasted opportunity for everybody. It's a wasted opportunity. Yes, we have issues of poverty. We have already found ourselves in a big debt for many years to come. Yes, all that. No, but leadership has to draw the line. You just has to draw the line. So these are the lessons that really could be learned from Eritrea. Not all of Eritrea's traveled road may be the best example or the best lesson for everybody, because the situations vary from country to country. But that doesn't mean that no learning can be done. We are just neighbors, just one tiny little border between us, and then we are people here. We talk. Mahlet, you're a young person. I was born and raised in Ethiopia. I'm even more Ethiopian than you are. I even feel more, connected to Ethiopia in that sense than anybody else. But this is where we keep failing as a continent. None of them are learning. All of them are going behind the other to undo, beat the other to get more money here that's going to be stolen in the end of the day. Why does money need to be stolen? Why? Well, why are government officials, living in a kind of life that requires a lot of continuous income, and so therefore they go into all kinds of corruption, and they still, remain as leaders as that without any consequence. I mean, Ethiopia again is another very good example. The TPLF government literally drained the country of every single bit of money it had. These guys walked away. They walked away, and they still now even there to administer the region. They're making noise that this is. I know this is just too much. It's too much, and this is happening everywhere. So deep lessons to be learned, but more conversations to also be had. I hope you, as you continue to progress in this program, you'll also be able to host panels, one from Somalia, one from Eritrea, one from Ethiopia, one from Sudan. Together, we need to discuss our issues together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ato Girmays. Really, that question so resonated with me. What Ethiopia don't have, even the mistakes, the war, everything there is. It's everything. I mean, aside the resources, there is everything there for Ethiopia to pick, dust it off, lesson taken, and go forward. But then again, yeah, and that brought tears to my eyes. And thank you for sharing. It's really important. Yeah. And I was also born in Eritrea, but as a very child, and my parents in a very beautiful port city in Assab. And I have very little memory, but yeah, I never felt that I did not belong to Eritrea up until leaving Eritrea because of that war. Yeah, very interesting discussion. Thank you. And I'm very, very happy that this is, I feel really blessed. And I really want every other African people to listen to this.